Long, long time ago, when the postal system was modernized, the chronically overworked Postmaster General overlooked two tiny post offices. One tucked away in the rolling hills of Somersetshire, the other somewhere in London. After unsuccessfully awaiting modernization, these two offices continued with their quiet lives until one day their daily routine was violently disrupted by the letters of Lady Susan, the most accomplished coquette in England. To avoid another scandal on social media, Lady Susan had now taken to letter writing, and her letters were eagerly expected by the two post offices through which all of these letters coincidentally passed. What with the secrecy of the letter no longer being what it used to be, Lady Susan's letters soon ceased to be private after all.
Is this the right time? I thought right after lunch. So there you are.
Hello, Janice.
Hi.
How are you? Hey, Isabel and Catherine. Nice to see you. Are you okay, girls?
Don't call them girls, Thomas. They're 17. They deserve to be treated as adults with respect.
I wasn't insinuating.
Yeah, but you weren't thinking. You need to think before you speak.
Thank you very much for asking, Thomas. I'm fine. I trust you're all well too.
Sorry I'm late. What did I miss?
They ain't started yet, 'cause Helen's been telling Thomas to treat us like ladies or like respectful or something.
Did Thomas not treat you respectfully?
No, Mrs. Khan, that's all right. Mr. Ford was very nice.
Then I don't understand.
Never mind. Do you want to hear this letter now, or what? I thought so. Today we received a letter for Mrs. Vernon of Churchill from her brother, Mr. Reginald de Courcy of Parklands. Please do not interrupt me while reading. Please set yourselves to mute now. My dear sister, I congratulate you and Mr. Vernon on being about to receive into your family the most accomplished coquette in England. As a very distinguished flirt, I have always been taught to consider her, but it has lately fallen in my way to hear some particulars of her conduct at Langford, which prove that she does not confine herself to that sort of honest flirtation which satisfy most people, but aspires to the more delicious gratification of making a whole family miserable. By her behaviour to Mr. Mannering, she gave jealousy and wretchedness to his wife, and by her attention.
You know what else would give jealousy and wretchedness to his wife? The tea in this office. Oh.
To Mr. Mannering, she gave jealousy and wretchedness to his wife, and by her attentions to a young man previously attached to Mr. Mannering's sister, deprived an amiable girl of her lover. I learned all this from Mr. Smith, now in this neighbourhood. I have dined with him at Hurst and Wilford, who's just come from Langford, where he was a fortnight with her ladyship, and who is therefore well qualified to make the communication. What a woman she must be! I long to see her, and shall certainly accept your kind invitation, that I may form some idea of those bewitching powers which can do so much, engaging at the same time and in the same house the affections of two men, who were neither of them at liberty to bestow them, and all this without the charm of youth. I'm glad to find Miss Vernon does not accompany her mother to Churchill, as she has not even manners to recommend her, and, according to Mr. Smith's account, is equally dull and proud. Where pride and stupidity unite, there can be no dissimulation worthy notice, and Miss Vernon shall be consigned to unrelenting contempt. But by all that, I can gather Lady Susan possesses a degree of captivating deceit, which it must be pleasing to witness and detect. I shall be with you very soon, and am ever your affectionate brother, Reginald de Courcy.
May we speak now?
Yes, of course you may. What would you like to say, Catherine?
Nothing.
Well, I don't like how he talks about Lady Susan.
I think he understands it just right. Just wait and...
Is a colourful one, that Lady Susan, isn't she?
Yes, she is, and...
She seems like just the kind of person to subdue other people's souls. I don't like her.
There is another letter.
What?
Yes, it came in this morning, just before Janice started the meeting. I took it, I mean, borrowed it, and this is from her. It's to her London friend, Alicia Johnson again.
Oh, goody goody.
Don't cheer her on.
You know she can't hear you through a letter, right?
I received your note, my dear Alicia, just before I left town, and rejoiced to be assured that Mr. Johnson suspected nothing of your engagement the evening before. It is undoubtedly better to deceive him entirely, and since he will be stubborn, he must be tricked. I arrived here in safety, and have no reason to complain of my reception from Mr. Vernon. But I confess myself not equally satisfied with the behaviour of his lady. She is perfectly well bred, indeed, and has the air of a woman of fashion, but her manners are not such as can persuade me of her being prepossessed in my favour. I wanted her to be delighted at seeing me. I was as amiable as possible on the occasion, but all in vain. She does not like me. To be sure, when we consider that I did take some pains to prevent my brother-in-law's marrying her, this want of cordiality is not very surprising. And yet it shows an illiberal and vindictive spirit to resent a project which influenced me 6 years ago, and which never succeeded at last. I am sometimes disposed to repent that I did not let Charles buy Vernon Castle when we were obliged to sell it, but it was a trying circumstance, especially as the sale took place exactly at the time of his marriage, and everybody ought to respect the delicacy of those feelings, which could not endure that my husband's dignity should be lessened by his younger brother's having possession of the family estate. Could matters have been so arranged as to prevent the necessity of our leaving the castle, could we have lived with Charles and kept him single, I should have been very far from persuading my husband to dispose of it elsewhere. But Charles was on the point of marrying Miss de Courcy, and the event has justified me. Here are children in abundance, and what benefit could have accrued to me from his purchasing Vernon? Sorry, handwriting. My having prevented it may perhaps have given his wife an unfavourable impression, but where there is a disposition to dislike, a motive will never be wanting, and as to money matters, it has not withheld him from being very useful to me. I really have a regard for him. He is so easily imposed upon. The house is a good one, the furniture fashionable, and everything announces plenty and elegance. Charles is very rich, I am sure. When a man has once got his name in a banking house, he rolls in money, but they do not know what to do with it. Keep very little company and never go to London but on business. We shall be as stupid as possible. I mean, to win my sister-in-law's heart through the children. I know all their names already, and I'm going to attach myself with the greatest sensibility to one in particular, a young Frederick, whom I take on my lap and sigh over for his dear uncle's sake. Poor Mannering, I need not tell you how much I miss him, how perpetually he is in my thoughts. I found a dismal letter from him on my arrival here, full of complaints of his wife and sister, and lamentations on the cruelty of his fate. I passed off the letter as his wife's to the Vernons, and when I write to him, it must be under cover to you. Ever yours, S. Vernon.
That beast!
Now she talks about the dear little Vernon children.
Trying to stop a marriage, that's really hardcore.
Maybe she has good reasons.
Yeah,
Those
right.
have to be really good